from 72 hours down to 24 hours. As long as it's not raining, we're going to be able to respond and to fix them quickly. The other process is when people report this on Fresno, the Fresno app, the intent is for each of these members of the team, or at least the team itself, to have an iPhone that will allow them to, like the graffiti team, to directly access the complaint, to be able to go out and respond to fix the pothole, and then respond on Fresno that complaint has been taken care of. And as I said, for many years, we utilized primarily a cold mix asphalt when we would go out and replace potholes. Unfortunately, that oftentimes would only last 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, and then there would be a repeat call to that same location. This new team, again, will utilize a hot asphalt mix that will patch potholes, that will make them more durable. And the process is that they will go, as they did today, to break out the material, to repair the base, and then repave with this hot mix asphalt, and then seal it with the steel metal roller as you've seen today. And it will be much more durable. When I say durable, it's not going to last 3 to 4 weeks. It can last up to 10 years. And that's going to cut down dramatically on potholes and complaints within the city of Fresno. There's still going to be instances when this team utilizes a cold asphalt mix. That will depend on what they feel is most appropriate. But I do believe, and I know the council believes, that this $1.7 million investment in our roads in Fresno will have a huge return on investment in terms of road safety, the way that our roads appear, the safety to vehicles, and the fact that they won't have as many vehicles driving over potholes in our city and filing claims against the city, but the overall condition of our roadways. So, again, reducing the response from 72 hours to 24 hours, utilizing a hot asphalt mix that's going to make it more durable up to 10 years is something that I think is going to be very, very meaningful, as well as the proactive approach that this team will take to filling potholes in our city. And as council members can attest, as they go to door to door and talk with people, we hear about homelessness, we hear about crime, and we hear about potholes. And today we're going to address potholes in the city of Fresno. And with that, I'd like to bring up Councilmember Mike Carbasi.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer, for your leadership on this issue and working with the council and running a great public works department. We really do appreciate that, and this is the result of that hard work after 4 years. As was mentioned before, Fresno has over 1,850 miles of roads. That's a lot. If you have a nice, smooth, straight road, that's from all the way from Fresno to Chicago. It's a lot to maintain. And last year, residents in all of our districts reported over 6,400 potholes, and that's a number that's just way too high. What happens is, if I'm driving home, or Councilmember Chavez is driving home, or the mayor is, we're going to get calls. Hey, I just hit a pothole, my rim is bent, my car's messed up, and I've got a popped tire. You're going to help me change my tire? That kind of message, really, we take it to heart, because it is absolutely a quality of life issue. It's also a safety issue. Having roads that are maintained, that are smooth, that are safe, it's important for not only for our drivers in Fresno, but also our pedestrians and our bicyclists. And as your representatives, I want you to know we don't just listen, we don't just hear you, we take action. And that's why I'm proud to join my colleague, Councilmember Chavez, and our great Mayor Jerry Dyer to announce the deployment of this dedicated pothole elimination crew that is going to tackle the problem in all of Fresno, making our roads safer for all. And again, that's for our pedestrians, our bicyclists, and our drivers. And now I'm proud to introduce my very good friend and the representative for Southeast Fresno, Luis Chavez.
Thank you, Councilmember Carbasi, and thank you, Mayor, for prioritizing a lot of the calls that we get here in this neighborhood are with regards to potholes. And you can probably see from the layout of the way this neighborhood is, there's a lot of slopes, and that's why you see a lot of the puddling that happens here in this specific area. I think we had over 10 potholes that were submitted just in this neighborhood. But the priority that we outlined during this last budget, I believe, is going to actually save money for the city of Fresno. We get thousands of claims every year from folks that, like Councilmember Corbasi mentioned, either popped their tire, bent their rim, or have suspension problems. I've actually helped navigate a lot of our residents through that. So I think one of the reasons why this is such a big priority for our residents is because of what we call the window effect. You have residents that will look outside of their window, and what is the first thing they see? They see the state of their street. They see the pothole. They see these canyons that, by the way, we've nicknamed these the Southeast Canyons of our streets. And that's something that they see and feel every single day. The investments that we're making in infrastructure, I believe, are going to be beneficial to our community. This area is going to be targeted. It's identified already in the queue as a priority. And then right here on Peach is where we're having the whitening project happen that will directly lead into the 49-acre park that's being built. But when we have a park, we also need folks to be able to get there safely. So that's what this team is going to be focused on. It's going to be focused on safety, and it's going to be focused on making sure that our residents receive these amenities that are available to them throughout the city. We often hear the complaint that, why does it take so long to fix a pothole? And, as the mayor mentioned before, it was 72 hours. Now we'll be able to respond within 24 hours of that, as long as it's not raining and as long as we get that. So I want to urge our residents, if they see a pothole out there anywhere in the city of Fresno, just take a picture of it, send it to us, use the Go app. That's very, very convenient and very easy for our strike team to get out there and respond. But at the end of the day, I just want to thank the mayor for your leadership. I want to thank my council colleagues for prioritizing, and I suspect that we will see an additional investment in this pothole strike team during this next budget conversation. So with that, I'll turn it over to not Brian Russell. Come on, Brian.
Thank you for everyone. Our Director of Public Works, Scott Mosier, was unable to make it today. So these guys covered it really well. You can tell that they know their pavements, they know their investment in our streets. Street maintenance involves a whole lot of scope and a lot of tools in our tool belt, if you will. So, obviously we've got new construction, we've got paving, complete street repaving, slurry seals, crack seals. And then we've got pothole repair, but this was one tool that we were missing in our tool belt, and we have it here now. So the pothole here behind me was a reoccurring one. This was very problematic. We would come out and make a cold mix patch, and it wouldn't last long. So we're making an investment into this location that'll last more than 10 years. Quite frankly, it could even last up to 20 years. So these are smart investments. I think the residents of Fresno are really going to start to see the improvement. We got a long ways to go, and as Councilmember Chavez mentioned, the most important thing you can do is report it. Oftentimes, these potholes that come up and sit there unfilled for a period of time, we don't know about them. So if you put it in Fresno or call 311, we can get somebody dispatched and get out right away. So thank you for your time, and from this, I'll turn it over back to the mayor.
Well, we have a paving index model that is utilized in the city, and it's generally those streets that have not been repaved or a slurry seal on them for a period of time. And it's also those areas where, as was mentioned by Councilmember Chavez, where the water doesn't flow right. Sometimes that's next to a corner when people are turning. Maybe there's water that, for whatever reason, when people are watering, it flows into the street. I don't know if there's a particular area, Brian. I think it's throughout Fresno, quite frankly. And over the last few years, we've made a large investment in the southern part of our city in terms of repaving streets and slurry seals. But I just believe it's all over Fresno. There are very few streets in Fresno you drive on where you're not going to find a pothole somewhere unless that street's been paved in the last few years or slurry sealed. It depends on the circumstances. They can file a claim with the city of Fresno, and it will certainly depend on the circumstances of the size of the pothole, how they were driving, etc. But it is a big problem with the city of Fresno that we get a lot of claims from people who are driving in a neighborhood, hit a pothole, and something happens to their car, damages their rim, their tire pops. Their suspension is damaged. So we want to take steps to avoid that, and not just the damage to the vehicle, but the safety. We have even our own motorcycle officers in the city of Fresno, the police department. They have to be very aware, because if they hit a pothole, motorcyclist does, there's a good chance that there's going to be a crash and an injury associated with that. So we're trying to eliminate all of those in the city of Fresno. I love what Councilmember Carbasi dedicated pothole elimination team, I think, is what we'll adapt as the term. But we want to eliminate potholes in the city of Fresno, and you're going to see that this year. Well, 1.7 million is what we have budgeted for this fiscal year, and it is to cover the 5-person team as well as the equipment. And Brian, if you want to talk a little bit more about that, but that's really what we have budgeted. And I do believe, based on the effectiveness of this over the next several months, there is a good chance that you may see an expansion of this team in the FY25 budget, if in fact funding is available for it. Yes, it is. Well, we are currently, Rich, seeking funding for that. I thought we had funding identified in Measure C that would repair it. It's not only McKinley, from Peach to, I believe, Chestnut, but also south of McKinley on Peach. And so, Brian, if you want to talk to both of those, but that is one of the worst streets in Fresno, you're right, and we are seeking funding for that. And I'll leave it at that, but I'll let Brian Russell talk about it. Yeah. Well, it's definitely a road that needs to be repaired and repaired soon. And I do believe that when people get off out of the airport, they come into our city, and they drive down McKinley or Peach. If they go towards Clovis, they're going to be in pretty good shape. But if they turn west on McKinley, they're going to encounter a road that needs to be fixed. And it's my commitment that we're going to fix that road. And we're seeking out funding now. I thought we had it identified in Measure C, but we didn't. And I know it's a source of with at least a couple of news stations who their employees travel that road every day. I hear about it, as well as other folks. So I'm committed to getting it fixed. It's just a matter of how we're going to find that funding, but we are going to get it fixed.
You know, in regards to McKinley, the mayor covered it well. That is a top of our priority list. We're looking at future fiscal year. Hopefully next year we can get that funded and get it under construction. You will note that very similar to McKinley, Clovis Avenue was very problematic last year. It started degrading quickly. We had to do something immediately. And so that was a paving project that we were able to scramble and get that done. So, you know, that took a lot of resources there, but McKinley's next. I mean, that's the one that is very high on our list, and we're looking for ways to get that paved soon. You want to take that one?
Well, our overall deferred maintenance in the city is about $1.2 billion, and that includes our streets, sidewalks, curbs, and gutters. About $500 million of that is in our streets alone, and that's probably a conservative figure. We are far behind, and this neglect has occurred over decades in our city, and no fault to any elected officials, but just as a lack of funding. It's very expensive to repave roads. It's very, we've used the alternative model of slurry seals throughout Fresno to prolong the streets. Some people ask, well, why do you slurry seal a particular street that doesn't look as bad as another? Well, it's to keep it from being as bad as another. And sometimes you do slurry seals on certain locations, certain streets, because you can do it a lot cheaper. There are certain streets where you can do a 1 mile of paving on a street that's not as dilapidated, are damaged, and it will cost you far less than if you do the same miles on a street like this, for example. So it's really a science that our Public Works Department uses in going throughout the city. But the focus is to eliminate potholes in the city of Fresno, every single one of them. And we're going to be well on our way to striving for that goal. Anybody else? Okay, appreciate it. And we're going to continue, I think, to fill in the rest of this. Thank you, guys.
Hey, real quick, guys, before you walk away, what we've got going here is we've got an example